So welcome back, my friends. We are back on the show from the part one. We are continuing our discussion with PVS Murthy, former Vice President, Voith Hydro, and also Associate Director of our Renewable Energy Promotion Association, Honorary Associate Director. And we have none other than Mr. Murugeshan, who is the co-chairman for our Grid Smart Forum of India in the Energia Foundation, and the ex-DG CPRI, Central Power Research Institute. Continuing this discussion, let me get back to Murugeshan Saab on that issue. Murugeshan ji, now what happened, we discussed, is the decentralized and distributed power. And I wanted to share a story, an interesting story which we know. There was this wonderful gentleman who was the former chairman of Mumbai Metropolitan Regional Development Authority, MMRDA, one Mr. Gaikwad. And this gentleman was so good that once we had taken these ideas, that there is a small old power plant in Thakurli. Thakurli is a railway line and a station, and it's a location just sandwiched between Dombivli and Kalyan. You know, it's just on my backyard where I am. So Thakurli powerhouse was built by the British in those days to supply it to the rail line, because the first railway line came from today's Mumbai Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus, which is called the Victoria terminus in those days. From Victoria terminus to Thane, the train, when he started to power the rail line, this power plant was exclusively put, a coal-based small power plant was there. Now that is dismantled, it is gone, it's like a relic. But the land is available, everything is available. So what was the idea with Gaikwad Saab was, the idea was we can retrofit a natural gas-based power plant, because the GAIL pipeline for natural gas has reached the Ambernath belt, and it is already here in Dombivli, and today it has gone to Pune and Kolhapur also, through the Mahanagar Gas Limited, which is the supplier for Mumbai, just like Indraprastha Gas is in Delhi. And Mahanagar Gas has got that entire facility, and he thought of intelligently, once we were discussing with him, it was like we were advising in our way what we can. And people like us have gone to him, and he agreed that this is lying idle, and that has become like a place where nothing is happening. It's like what you call an old dilapidated building, nothing more, and it could be used to build a gas turbine power plant. And the capacity of this plant could also be that like the LM6000, we could put a few multiple machines. This is the plant. This is the way the plant looks. See, this is the way the Thakurli powerhouse looks today. There's no power plant there. It's only lying idle. It's a railway asset. So if we had powered that power plant, calling some public-private partnership, that was the idea. Paper was done and complete. And I had given further, view that gas power plant can be hybridized with a localized solar power plant. That means in a distance in some village area where people can be brought into the game, just like power has been done. A power plant which could be about, let's say, maybe about 300, 400 megawatt or something, not more than that. And starting with 100 megawatt. So they could have had some 200, 250 megawatt of gas turbine with about 200, 250 megawatt of solar. I am telling you, this could have been the example for the country for hybridization. And this file, our friend Piyush Goyal simply kept the file on the sides and did nothing. But that is what they did. But the hard reality is, if we had demonstrated this power plant, I am telling you, forget Mumbai, entire district of Thane, Kalyan Dombivli, Ulhasnagar, Titwala, Ambernath, one of the most finest happening suburb, and also the lowest cost suburb, would have got power at continuous 24/7, could have developed its own islanding system. It could have become another example of how to decentralize with on-grid power, not off-grid. Decentralized on-grid. That means the regional load dispatch center would be responsible for this whole thing. The Western Regional Load Dispatch Center would have integrated this power plant with the local, generator, which is the railways local area. Railways may consume some power, but basically most of the power will come to the grid for the public. And the municipal corporation could have used a license, which is a franchising license. And this could be in a PPP mode, a franchising license, because under the Bombay Provincial Municipal Corporation Act, which is the act which has been copied across the municipalities in India. The first municipality act in the country was the Bombay Provincial Municipal Corporation Act. And that was the Bombay province, undivided Bombay to Surat, when the British era was there. that Bombay Provincial Municipal Corporation Act is the municipality act around the country. All the municipalities have modeled themselves on this act. And that act has a provision. That act has a provision for this utility to supply electricity also, not only water. Because they already use electricity for street lighting.
Yes, you're right.
They are buying the power from the utility, and why not this kind of a thinking has come till now? No regulator has spoken, no policy maker has spoken in the country, nobody. But when Mr. Gaikwad did that excellent job, in fact, it was the central governments and the people in power who stopped those files, and they have never looked at this file, only supporting the big power plant, the large coal they want to produce in some eastern region or some other region, and Mumbai does not have any coal, and Mumbai's only coal can come from Nagpur, the nearest. Okay, you have allocated that, but you must allow us to put city-based power plant for Mumbai, the Bengaluru, Hyderabad, the Delhi NCR. You know, I think we must start thinking on these lines. Why we should be importing power and paying an exorbitant cost, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'm paying 10 rupees domestic here and 14 rupees commercial tariff, highest in the country. Murugesan Saab, your view.
Yes, sir. In fact, sir, the distributed renewable energy, it has two advantages. One is that, sir, it can directly impact the employment generation itself. The world over, you know, people are this particular element of this one demonstrated that, you know, it creates tremendous job opportunities. Even India itself is generated about more than 60,000 plus or 70, around close to that. So that is even with the impact of about 2% penetration. With that itself, this kind of generation is possible, and also it is directly helping the MSME sector. So it will have a very positive effect. One is employment, and as a MSME, and even the income is also increasing. And it's a need power, and it increases reliability. So we should go wholeheartedly go in the direction of the decentralized renewable energy sources setup and see that it adds multiple direction. It gives directly three advantages. One is that employment generation, in generation, and it supports MSME, and also it helps utilities. And we need not go for a big power plant somewhere else. Pollution or all such things, it all should be removed. All over the world, people are going away from that concept now. They are going to only decentralized and some these kind of things to see that it has a win-win effect. So we should go in for that. The government should.
The advantage of the concept that I was talking about, the concept is coming from a very intelligent officer, and it had come with it had not got the solar I am hybridizing. What happens, 6 to 7 hours you take solar power, then you start the gas-based power plant. Gas is less polluting. And then this 24/7 supply can be done. And the other advantage is it doesn't put any stress on your transmission system. It saves all the cost of transmission with this. It islands your location. That means the entire district of Thane, just like Mumbai has an islanding system, Thane can have an islanding system. Tomorrow, same model can come from Pune. Now, what this will do, this type of a power plant generation, urbanization will be having a much better option, because then all this system will be localized, and any security threat to disconnect any area, because if the Chinese are entering the grid and putting some software and doing all those things, this risk will go away, because you have local supplies coming in from the power plants. Instead of wasting our time and effort on importing coal, building and taking out the coal from the ground, and working on all the polluting mechanism which are now being challenged by the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They are putting pressure on all of us. So why not think about these decentralized hybrid power plants like gas solar hybrid? I gave you the example of a gas solar hybrid for the place we are sitting in, Thakurli, historical, a powerhouse left idle after the British era, but ready to be used as a location for an optional retrofitted gas turbine power station. And this is a great potential, along with hybridizing of a solar park nearby, a mini solar park of 100 megawatt or 200 megawatt or whatever. This is the type of concept I am talking about. Because without gas and hydro, we know the only option to hydropower is gas. The interesting part I'm telling you, Murugesan Saab and Murthy Saab, around me from here a few kilometers, less than 40 kilometers or so, is that Ghatgar hydro power plant, 250 megawatt, the only roller compacted concrete power plant in my vicinity. This power plant, the 250 megawatt Ghatgar itself, make it something like a complex, because Ghatgar comes under the Tichwala area. So basically all of this together make us having some 500 to 1000 megawatt worth of opportunity. And this could have provided an example, because what Tata Power takes for supply, it passes through our area of Kalwa substation, which is just on my backyard also. And then it comes from a place called Padga, which is the main transmission location from where all the power to Mumbai goes. So we are at the hub of the power supply, and the entire corridor. So this was the thing that Mr. Gaikwad, then MMRDA commissioner, had talked about, and it was completely shelved. No politician had the spinal cord to work on this. And a beautiful suggestion coming from him. Murugesan Saab, what do we do?
Yes.
What do we do if people have no political will or they have some kind of other agenda?
Yes, sir. There is a major drawback which we are seeing that clearly that it has demonstrated all over the world. It is not that only India. India itself, it has shown that with a small penetration of 1.6 or something like that, it has so much progress on three fronts. One is employment, generation of money, and MSM supporting MSME, and also it's a clean power. And as you mentioned that when you have this kind of power available closer to your load center, the losses comes down, and even your reliability increases, and all connected things, we are getting rid of all such things. Clearly, it has demonstrated all over the world. So thing is that they have to political will is to push this sector, which will help the whole sector itself. It is definitely we are going for that. If not today, tomorrow we are going. We are saying that when other countries are going far, we should also hasten up to see that we should not wait for a long time. It will come. It has to come maybe on another 2-3 years down the line. It has to come because they cannot hold like this. They cannot hold it. But what we are requesting is that the government will to see that the policy makers, they push it so that we don't leave the train.
And Murthy Saab, in the same breath, I want to put here that we have something like 25 gigawatt of installed capacity. And if you add the captive capacity, we would be about 28 gigawatt of gas operated power plants. But unfortunately, minus the few plants of NTPC, about 4 gigawatt of NTPC gets gas. Even Dabhol Power, which is basically the ex-Enron case, which is now an NTPC GAIL joint venture under the Ratnagiri gas and power plant, does not get its full capacity of natural gas to operate because of this thing that we have priority, whatever we have, whatever limited we are importing, we send it to the fertilizer sector, the natural gas requirement goes there, and then to transportation sector because of Gadkari Saab's initiative, now gas is coming. But I am saying the most important is not to keep these assets idle. So many companies, the Jagrupadu project in Andhra Pradesh is literally closed, the GVK project.
Absolutely.
Nobody will even, and so much money was spent on that. So what is your view, Murthy Saab, on wasting such national assets? We made the private sector companies come and put these power plants and they are lying idle. They are starving for want of gas today.
Yes. You see, basically, the most important point is the assets we have created for the gas-based power generation are really wasted today. The amount of money we have spent on those projects, except NTPC projects, nothing else is actually working. And the private sector person who has put in the plant with a lot of hardship and a lot of money involved with that is really struggling for his plants not running, and his balance sheets are going haywire. You see, we are not understanding as a nation, as a politicians at the top level, the assets you have created, how to use the assets to the best of the facilities for the Indian country. That you are not honoring that part of it. The assets are created and they are wasted, and that means it becomes an NPA for the country. This part
imagine the gas assets which are as good as hydro in terms of grid operation 20 gigawatt are lying idle. 20 gigawatt.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, it's 25 gigawatt. Gas is also 25 gigawatt. And in fact, another important thing, just like hydro, gas is another aspect which can come quickly and go back out of the grid if required very fast.
Absolutely, the plug and
And
play.
that is also we are missing out of the system now. Right now, grid operation could have been much better if the gas plants are operating in a quick way. That is another basic concept which we are missing it out. That means there is something drastically wrong with the policy decision makers and the political leadership in the country on these issues. See, people talk so much NPS and everything. Why we are not assessing the assets available and their utilization capacities? How much
Correct.
percentage of the assets you have created? Have you ever assessed it? Have you ever put it in the website of your sector? Have you bring it to the notice of the people? This is again, all this has come with the money of the taxpayers' money. What are you doing with the taxpayers' money? All these damn things are getting wasted. So that is
Right.
missing from the government and the policymakers on these issues. You see, what happened is when certain things come up, we create an assets. Actually, I see a trend in the generation capacity, how it is installed. If you remember, when we got independence, hydro is about roughly there to 40% of our installed capacity.
Yes, yes. Initial, early stages, yes.
I am talking 47.
Yeah. Yes.
And as all the time period it has come down, and by 60s and 70s, people thought the thermal power plants will come very fast, and the technology of combustion engineering coming into the picture, we got quickly into creating thermal power plant capacity, and we neglected hydro during that peak period. That's how the thermal capacities come up, and that is the time in 1975 when NTPC was also established for thermal power capacity ramp up in the country. So that's how we gone up with this one. Then we started neglecting hydro, but in between big hydro projects are coming up. And thanks to people like P. Narasimha Rao and the Gowda, these projects have been cleared, big hydro projects. Tehri also, thanks to P. Narasimha Rao, who has cleared the file for Tehri and solved all the problems with the partner who is supposed to do that project. So then we caught up with solar,
and even we must mention the great
everything else. That's
period
where
of what we should also
gas in between has come up.
Yeah, we should also mention the great period of Vajpayee Saab, because we just gave a tribute to Yogendra Prasad with NHPC. NHPC was a company which became a hero, and the hydro came back to the forte because 1998 to 2005 was the chairmanship managing director of Yogendra Prasad, and Vajpayee Saab's stint was 1997 to 2004. So that period of literally a great officer or a great engineer and dam builder like Yogendra Prasad, together with the vision of Vajpayee ji, resulted in 27.1% share.
Absolutely. And then we started concentrating on solar and tried to neglect all the other things. And that has gone up to the today your renewables you're talking about 96 gigawatt. 96 gigawatt of renewables.
I'll tell you the solar story. I will tell you the solar story now. Solar story we all know. We wrote that report 100 gigawatt solar and released it in Surat in 2013. But we were also doing the hydro report. We were supporting 2007. Our jury has given the award for the Narmada Sardar Sarovar Dam 2007 when we started Energia as a publishing house.
Yes, first award
for hydro project was given to Sardar Sarovar, and I had B.K. Lahiri, then chairman of the Sardar Sarovar project, coming to Mumbai along with his wife and thanking me, sir, nobody recognized us, and it was you that who has recognized, Energia has recognized hydropower by giving that award to the Sardar Sarovar Narmada Dam, the big project in Gujarat, which actually brought water to the Kutch region. And that was Devagowda Saab, you rightly said.
Absolutely.
And I also mentioned earlier, it was Devagowda Saab who cleared that file, and a lot of other officers involved, great officers. There was a conflict that the temple on the MP side, the Omkareshwar temple, was to be shifted.
Absolutely.
All of that was done. On that side was Indira Sagar. On this side was, Indira Sagar and down line Omkareshwar, and this side was the Sardar Sarovar. And Sardar Sarovar Sardar Sarovar, interestingly, 99% or majority of the water is taken by Gujarat. An interesting
By
part of the
Gujarat.
project is all electricity supply from the project. Gujarat barely gets 8 to 10%. 90%
Absolutely.
of the supply goes to other states. Maharashtra is the biggest beneficiary of electricity produced in Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam Limited. And
Absolutely.
Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh are the other two beneficiaries. So this I must
Absolutely.
talk about because this project is close to my heart.
Yeah, yeah.
It cannot
Yes.
it cannot be politicized because its foundation stone was laid by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. That also must be mentioned. The foundation stone of Sardar Sarovar
Absolutely.
project was laid down by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and its completion happened when Narendra Modi was the
Yes.
chief minister of Gujarat. So there is a lot of people involved, and
Yeah.
then the prime minister who took that file and pushed it forward was none other than Devegowda Saab. So a lot of people
Absolutely,
have done
you're right.
on these kind of things. So this is the history of
Yes.
this country. So we play politics. Ki somebody has not done 70 saal se koi kaam nahi hua. Hey, this is all
Ah,
not talked about. Every person has
Absolutely.
contributed in some way. And
Their
you
way.
know, for
Their
Sardar
way.
Patel, for Sardar Patel ji, the foundation stone for the Sardar Sarovar Dam named after him was put down by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. No, nobody else.
Absolutely, you're right. Absolutely.
And,
you're right.
and let us also talk about Jawaharlal Nehru's great contribution. He said, dams are the temples of modern India. He talked about
Absolutely. I was
And-
about
and
to
that
come
time-
to that.
and that time
Yes.
it was M. Visvesvaraya, another great engineer who was doing the job.
Yeah.
And you know, from the British era till end, what happened? The Hirakud Dam, the Damodar Valley, the Sri Salem, all these dams have the stamp of that, and the Bakra. And we should mention the Bakra.
Bakra Beach management is another one. Very important.
And also
And-
the Rihand in
and-
UP. Very few
and-
people will talk about Rihand in UP. Rihand is one of the biggest, I would say, concrete storage dam in
Yes.
the country. So all these dams together happened in the time. And he said it's the temples of modern India that's coming on the screen. So we must respect Pandit
Yes.
Jawaharlal Nehru for what he did as well in his times.
And Professor, here also I would like to take the name of K.L. Rao, who was the then
Yeah.
water resource minister, and for all the hydro projects, he was the man behind it during
Absolutely.
that time.
That's why-
Many people
and
don't
that's why
remember him.
we- and that's why
you will find
and that-
his statue at Nagarjuna project.
I know. And then
He is one
because of
man who
people-
has contributed a lot.
And because of people like KL Rao, Andhra is one of the most irrigated states of the country.
Absolutely.
Very few
Absolutely.
people understand. You know, the
Very
Godavari
people
barrage,
understand.
the Godavari
Absolutely,
barrage,
very
the
few
Prakasham
people.
barrage. Now, these are helping both Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. But I'm saying, in an undivided format, these great leaders
Yes.
came, they understood the importance of water supply. For example, in Maharashtra, Yashwantrao Chavan understood the need, and that is why Koina came and all these projects
Absolutely.
came.
Absolutely.
So people
I-
will forget them. But today,
Ah,
states are having water because of the vision of those leaders, irrespective of which party they belong to. Yes, Murugeshan Saab.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, sir. Absolutely correct.
Like
Because
I,
of
give
the
you, I take the name of one more leader. Konkan, which is actually the coastline, was starved of water, starved of resources, starved of water supply, starved of
Yes.
roads, starved of infrastructure. The man who we will all forget, but one man who was not from Konkan, but the people of Konkan loved him and they sent him, was none other than Madhu Dandavate ji.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
You
yes.
even remember who's Madhu Dandavate, but Madhu Dandavate,
Yeah.
the entire Konkan region in Maharashtra developed because of one man's vision, Madhu Dandavate. He did
Yes.
nothing for himself, he did everything for the people of Konkan and Maharashtra.
yeah.
What a
Absolutely.
qualified man. And he was not Congress, he was not BJP, he was a Janata Dal man, sir.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was a
yeah.
simple, he was a simple leader. We all remember Madhu Dandavate. He became our finance
Absolutely.
minister in the VP Singh government. But we barely have a political personality like him today. They all supported development. They all supported development.
Yes.
Professor Saab, what is your view? We forget
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
I fully agree with you, sir. I fully agree with you that this kind of visionary things are needed in our sector also, to say that we made a progress, of course, but we need to go very far, very fast. That is the need of the
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah, for example, I will put one more point before I go to the nuclear subject now, because that's the last subject for the day. See, when
Yeah.
Yogendra Prasad came as a on deputation engineer from the Bihar State Electricity Board, and he joined the NHPC, and the purpose was to bring the Chukha power, the 336 megawatt, to be exported into India through a terror-infested zone, and with China on our neck, at the chicken neck. And this all was done by the vision of one engineer, Yogendra Prasad, whose transmission ideology was great. Later on, he became a great hydro engineer. We all know we lost him 22nd April. We paid tribute. But Yogendra Prasad continued to tell me, Iyer Saab, हम ये कुछ कर नहीं सकते थे बिना A.B.A. घनीकांत चौधरी साहब के सपोर्ट से. उन्होंने बहुत
Yeah.
सपोर्ट किया. And A.B.A. घनीकांत चौधरी was only a member of parliament, but he got almost close to 60 crores funds for NHPC. The power grid was not there at the time. There was no power grid corporation. NHPC built the transmission corridor for bringing Bhutan's Chukha power into India. And it was under the leadership of Yogendra Prasad, the great engineer, that it happened. So we must not forget these historical events, and it was later on that this power grid was formed, and Prasad was offered the leadership of power grid, but he refused to leave NHPC and he wanted to build NHPC still. So he also left that opportunity after doing the great job of bringing the entire transmission corridor, and South Asian regional grid, the foundation was laid by Yogendra Prasad also, if you look at it that way. Because that is the first electricity supply coming to India. And we must remember, this also started, the Bhutan relationship started in Pandit Nehru's era.
Yeah, with Chukha project.
Yeah, and
Which
I've
cover?
got all the things are lying in the Nehru Vanchuk library in Thimphu. If you go to that library, I brought a video
Absolutely.
on how he went there. He went on literally what you call the mule
Horseback.
back. Mule back.
Yeah. Yes.
They
Yes.
were, so
I've
this-
seen the photographs. I've seen the
Right.
photographs.
And I put the video on the Enfra TV. You can have a look at it. But the last part, which I want to come here, is on nuclear. My question on nuclear now, addressing to both of you, and I will want Murugesh and Saab to talk about it. Sir, we
Yes, sir.
have the only fast breeder reactor in the world at Kalpakam. The only
Yes.
fast breeder reactor. Technology fully indigenous. Indira
Yes.
Gandhi Center for Applied Research, ICAR, has designed, and the engineering and design is coming from an Indian organization based out of your Bengaluru. Okay.
Yes,
That
yes,
the power side of it, the reactor is therefore indigenously designed and fabricated here and manufactured here. And the entire non-reactor part, the steam turbine generator set has been provided by Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, BHEL. And
BHEL.
entire thing is indigenous. And the fuel for the reactor is the used or spent fuel of the conventional nuclear power plant. That is why it is called a fast breeder reactor. The FBR reactor operates on enriched uranium, which goes in to fast breed, basically. Now, with
Yes.
all this, why we are not looking beyond Kudamkulam, and why we are not even talking about, sorry, not Kudamkulam, but Kalpakam, why we are not talking about the Kalpakam fast breeder reactor project? Yes, we have another great project with the help of Russia and Putin's own help, that we have done the Kudamkulam also in extraordinary way, conventional plant at the lowest price because of the supply of the 1000 megawatt reactors and allied system, and a lot of indigenization thanks to joint engineering and joint venture between Russia and India. But yes, why we are forgetting that we have built a FBR on our own at Kalpakam and it's a 500 megawatt operating? Why there is no talk, no movement, no furtherance of the FBR process, which could actually bring huge energy security to India?
absolutely, sir. Sir, we are talking about nuclear power for ages.
Yes.
And the penetration is just 1.8%, sir, less than 2%.
Correct. Only 7,000 megawatt only.
6,780 megawatt.
Yeah, that's all.
What it can have effect, sir. In fact, country like, say, we there, okay, yes, and so many other countries have put ban on that, and they're all reducing it, and that's a different reason. But you take France, it is mostly run by only nuclear
Nuclear
power
power,
only.
70% of France requirement is coming from nuclear. Even they run their trains.
Yes.
They run the train. You're right.
Yes, and the
True.
whole country is dependent only on nuclear power, and we are not that luxurious to have this kind of thing. So this penetration is 1.8%, and it's a fast breeder reactor. We have the technology
Correct.
and we have the fuel.
I know.
We have the fuel. We need not depend on anybody.
Because you put 1 kg of fuel, you could be running a 2000 megawatt power plant perpetually.
Absolutely,
That's
and it is
what-
available here, sir. It is available here, and we know the processing, everything, all the paraphernalia, everything is available. It is really surprising. It is
Yeah.
very surprising that, and we are all talking this one. Technology is available. We have demonstrated Tarapur is available for ages.
Yeah,
At least we had we done a bit reasonably.
And the best
10%
part is Kalpakam is an indigenous reactor, sir. Kalpakam is
Yes.
100% India made, India designed, India developed.
Yes, yes, yes. Answer this 1.8% is
Absolutely.
what it can have.
Fully
What it
indigenous.
can have, sir. What it can have. You say that renewable energy is about 25.2% we have added, sir. Added. Huge
And
amount
sir,
of
And
huge,
sir, we must
huge.
mention nuclear is renewable. It has no carbon emissions. The only
Yes.
idea is the
Yeah.
safety part that we have to work on, but it's a renewable energy, no carbon, zero carbon energy.
Absolutely,
Zero
absolutely.
carbon. Yes.
Sir, and it's a stable power, sir. Stable power. It is almost
I know.
like hydropower. You know, you have the base power. You know, you can continuously running full efficiency. Everything we can run, and it can be the things for taking care of the rest of the things. We should go for the 1.8%. It is as good as we don't have nothing.
Right, right. Okay, in this one more question I'm coming to, and let Murthy answer this. We have 60% of the global thorium deposits. And why we are not even starting to build the pilot thorium power plants, sir? Even a small decentralized pilot thorium power, because decentralized nuclear is another area. So a smaller 100
Absolutely.
megawatt, just 100 megawatt, we are talking of gigawatt scale. No need. Demonstrate a 100 megawatt thorium power plant, and perpetual fuel is available. And thorium reactors are available in European Union. We can do joint venture technology transfer possible. I don't see any discussion on these lines. Murthy Saab.
Absolutely. See, again, I'll put it back into the policy decisions. See, where the Nuclear Power Corporation is such a organization, they have lot many projects which always they pop up to the government. But unfortunately, Nuclear Power Corporation comes under the ministry. They have no independent power for them to pursue the projects the way they can do it. And they need government's nod for every project of them. And that is where the basic policy decision is missing on the nuclear front, nuclear power sector in India today. And I see that missing from a long time. And in between, we said we can do lot many projects with French and US and everything, but everything has gone to standstill. What happened? The
See,
reason
what
is-
happens in, what happens in, just a minute, what happens in
Yeah.
thorium? No? Thorium Saab is
Yeah.
not highly radioactive. It is a very limited radioactivity. Thorium
Wait a minute.
is something which can change the game. There is no need to monopolize an NPCIL. We can even allow
Yes.
NTPC and the NHPCs to get into thorium-based nuclear power plants, because these
Absolutely.
power plants are technologically sound. We have the fuel,
Yes.
and the risk and the public risk of a thorium power plant is very, very low.
Absolutely, that is true. That's where I'm talking about. That's why I'm talking about policy decision. The policy decision has to come from the government based on the concept. These projects can be executed by NTPC or this type of companies also,
That's a business
and they have to
competition.
give the powers. They have to give the powers to the people. They have to give the power to that particular undertakings to execute these projects, and that's where the basic policy is missing in the country for this particular items.
Right.
That's very clear.
So thank you, gentlemen. Today only we had that much time because we are almost at the fag end. Thanks to N. Murugesan, former DG CPRI, and the chairman, co-chairman, the chairman of our Grid Smart Forum of India, which he has always supported our initiative at the Enersha Foundation, and Sri P.V.S.N. Murthy, who is an honorary associate director of REPA and also on the editorial advisor board of Enersha. Thank you, gentlemen. And we come again and saying goodbye. Jai Hind to all.
Thank you.
Jai
Thank
Hind.
you, sir.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Jai Hind.